everyone, Bayani asked me to speak at home. Okay, here's our unit plan. So, we have only one lesson but then three session. So, our unit plan is I am special. So, we are the group of Christian Lady. Miss May, Miss Tina, and so our specific learning outcome, first one is enumerate parts of the body and qualities they like most about themselves. So first is looking at oneself. So the second one is explain what makes them special. The third one is the action that demonstrate proper ways of valuing themselves. So our assessment for the formative assessment is classroom artwork, think, pair, share, and classroom discussion. That's the formative assessment. And the summative assessment is the blog posting, activities on valuing myself. So our procedure, so first is the materials. For the session 1, mirror. So each of them has their own mirror and the teacher's PowerPoint. So our procedure is the student, so these are our summary. So okay, we ask our students to bring out their mirror and then look at themselves. Then after that, we'll ask questions. What do we see in the mirror? And then we'll give them time to reflect, short reflection. Then discuss with the partner. So after that, the teacher also need to discuss to the students after their partners discussion. Next is, so here the students will be asked to look again in the mirror after the discussion of the teacher. Then they will look again at the mirror. So this one is for the deepening activity because the first one is parang very looking at themselves, physical. But then when we go to the quality, so looking at themselves deeply. And then further assignments, the students will ask them to do an artwork representing the body parts they like most and explain this to the class next meeting. So that's our assignment to them for the next meeting. So this one is for the session 2. Our materials, pictures of people in different situations because of the objective we have on the first one. So the teacher will ask the student it's a review from the previous lesson. And then students will present and share their artworks in class. Then after that, the teacher will show the pictures, different situations. So, for example, in the family, the classroom, like that. So, different situations will be asked to identify these qualities of people. Then, after that, the teacher will discuss about the qualities. So that the teacher can also explain well to the students about the different qualities of a person. Then after that, again, the students will be given time again to reflect with partner. Then wrapping up the lesson, and then the teacher will also give another assignment for the next assignments will be to bring pictures. That's for the next session. And then our session 3. So here's our materials. Pictures. So this one, they give an assignment to them. Pictures. They will bring pictures of their families. And then PowerPoints used by the teacher. Okay. First one, our procedures. The teacher will ask the student what review again from the previous lesson. Then the students will be asked to look at their pictures of the family. So, yeah, pictures of first is when they were still baby, then after preschool, elementary. And then, so, as they look at their sorry. Okay na. Sorry.
While the next person's getting ready, one of the really strong, it's a really good lesson, first of all. But one of the strong things is how each day flows to the next day. You've got an activity or something that they have to do, and there's a reason for doing it. Often you give homework, and the homework, they don't see any reason for it, but your homework flows into the next day, and you use it in your anticipatory set. So it's really a strong part of that lesson. Who's next?
Summarize exercise that will demonstrate, show using their hands, their face, and their entire body.
Ibang format natin dalawa. Ibang format natin. Okay lang ito. Kaya nga mag-represent ako. Explain ko sa kanya. Ganito naman tayo.
Kasi lesson mo naman natin ganito.
So basically, we check the facial expressions and the intensity of them. We have a checklist to see whether or not these features are present. So we'll have activities where they would express, what's a bat, what's a grandfather, what's a gun, and we'll do that in the form of a game. So another activity would be copying same face production. So basically it's just a face copying game. Gossip, where the students are lined up and you would have to relay a message down the line to see whether the the person at the very end would convey the same message. There's a game called The Blind Guess. And sorry, this one is the Kiss Not Wink game. So the next assessment is that the students have to really create various stories. Then there's the elephant game. There's classifier game, a gestural game. Then there's, I guess you have to answer something from a card. We use rubrics, tests, self-evaluations, activities, and that's it. And your presentations and that.
With this, certain subjects, the objectives and the activities are going to be so closely linked that you don't see the difference. Math, FSL, some art, because what you do is what you want them to be able to do. So here, they have their procedures that are in line with the order they're going to do it in. But those procedures are also their formative assessments. So even though she was telling you the formative assessments, they are actually what they're going to do in class.
Process, and it should be effectiveness, communication, session tools, and then modifiers,
Okay, so we will be, I'm presenting you a different group. We will be using a different lesson plan format because this is our lesson plan. Okay. This is eventually this will be the lesson plan that we will be using also in the program. So we will start with the instructional objective. Okay, the red part it pertains to the learning outcome or the instructional objective lifted from the DepEd curriculum. The others will be made by the teacher because there are other things here that should be presented to us. You will see that it is numbered. At first, when you look at it, it will be confusing, but actually you're going to follow that one. There is a certain sequence where it should be. So after what the teacher should be doing is that writing the objectives and the learning outcomes on the board so that the students will know exactly what will happen for that particular period or day. And then what I usually do is we start first with sharing of ideas where students will try to talk amongst themselves on a certain question of a certain topic, which wherein the questions are more of their experiences in life. And then after the sharing of the idea, we will now go to the subject integration of word study microscopy because that is the topic. So students may not know what the meaning of microscopy or given the compound microscope. This is the time that we talk about the meaning of the microscope or microscopy and then eventually develop science. And then develop science. That will be used all throughout the lesson. So that will be number 3. Number 4. Number okay. And then number 4, group activity. So we always do this group activity, diet activity, meaning to say group activity, then by partners, then individually. The reason behind is that it is important for the peers to learn from each other with the teacher supervising the groups. After that, if the group already settled with their activity, that will be the output. FA is to say formative assessment. Okay. So after the group activity of demonstrating the few techniques of handling the microscope, then that's the time that we are going to separate the group into two. So this time, there are now two of them. These two will be using tablets or even computers where they're going to learn from the computer how to manipulate the microscope. So then, we are now two of them, two of us, and then we're trying to look at the website and then watching now how to use the microscope. And then, next one will be individual activity. This will be the summative part. Okay. The individual activity wherein the student will be given, the teacher actually will demonstrate how to prepare a glass slide with a specimen in it. But the specimen that we're going to use is just a letter, a very small cut-out letter that we place. And then this time, the student will demonstrate to me, to the teacher, how he or she is going to use the microscope. Now that is the objective, identify the parts and functions of the microscope. So these two must link together. And the individual activity will be the summative activity. So that will be microscopy. The next, there is a synthesis also part within this journal writing or reflection paper. What surprised you the most? Sometimes there are some students that will be surprised at what happened to the specific paintings under the microscope, or they might mention what do they think of the microscope. And then the next lesson will be levels of organization. Thank you very
Although it's confusing because there's all this writing and words, I think one of the real strengths of it is that you have a group, you kind of demand a group activity done at an individual, and that follows along with that lesson plan where you do the modeling and then work to independent practice. So this kind of forces you to put that in. So it's an interesting way to do it. Thank you. Next.
Ay, hindi. Siya yung nag-interview sa number kasi ako first ay, di siya nilulog. Pinulog ko sa number. Kasi sa going to, kasi wala niya wala kasi kasi nilulog. The needs is kasi ano ba kasi
focus on regional art focus on comparative art from the highlands to lowlands. This is the first 3 weeks. So we have identified art, craft activities, and also use the corners as an activity. Basically, trying to figure out what they've learned from elementary school. So the purpose for that is just to get a review. And we start getting system art, and regional art, visual art, and also clothing to costumes to patterns. So we'll use that. We'll study lines using FSL classifiers. Again, using the term song. And we'll also do color hues, brightness, intensity. So those are the things that we're going to cover in these first two groups. But mostly it's systematic elements. And the focus is on the highlights. And here, we're going to do a review again of what was learned. Question and answer, discussions, and then how this relates to that word. Like I said before, we're focusing on highlands, like the brown, north, middle, so that kind of part. There's a lot of Tagalog words that we have to emphasize because some people may not be able to interact because of their lack of knowledge and Bulu. What does that mean? Is that a word from that? It's good about or in a house or in a fire. So those are various Filipino traditional beliefs that we're going to cover through that part. So Filipino beliefs, word vocab, and also we will relate what they learned before to now, compare the studies with Thailand, previous sessions to what we're going to do going to the next session. So this is what basically we're going to what we're going to cover for next week. That's it.
I think it's great. I think it's really goes well. What about the percentage of language? The percentage of language that you're using. Looks like we've got FSL.
Correct. So yesterday we forgot the exact ratios, but it was 60-30-10, where we have some Filipino elements. So 60 is mostly FSL. That's mostly what we're going to use as our communication because it's a lot of demonstration and visual pictures.
It looks like you're using more FSL and Filipino language and less English. That's fine. It fits very much with the subject.
Who's next? Share.
After Mama, I'm not sure if my folder wasn't allowed to record it. There's been a condition in light of the wall, and they will describe it. You can try some of the action part. The next day, she'll be returning their works and the diagrams. So my little lecture on the tree. I'll have cards, pictures on how each on our direction.
Using the previous day's pictures to reinforce what they learned, and then have students display back what they learned. And that way I can assess what are the gaps that need to be filled, and so that I can adjust it for the next lesson. So as kind of like one of those tickets, the exit tickets, the students would have to give me information, whether it's information regarding the lesson or what I have to do as a teacher. So the teacher would, myself, I would sign something, and then the students would have to identify, determine whether it would submit that you are proper, and then answer why they think why it's proper, what are the characteristics. Just perfect, I don't have that.
One thing I think we can strike from this lesson is whether it goes from one thing to the other. Also, that you start with something familiar, you build on what you already know. I think it's a bit ambitious, like I think that first class 1 hour, and I don't know if you can finish all of that in 1 hour. So, but it's better to have more planned, and then you can, just postpone it, depending on what you want. Yeah, later, she showed it to me before, and later she has to go to the internet. And yeah, I just want to warn you, when you send students away to do research, be sure that you give them a strict time limit and a doable task. Because if you waste, I've seen it over and over again, students go and they waste, say, 10 minutes. Doesn't sound like a lot, 10 minutes. But you've got 180 days of instruction, they waste 10 minutes in every class, it adds up to hours and hours and hours of wasted time. So try to structure your lesson and structure your assignment so that students aren't wasting too much time. Okay? Next is English 2. English 2.
We only prepared one.
Pardon?
We only prepared.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It says performing arts.
Sorry, I'm just making changes.
You're not expecting. Okay. Does that go first?
This one I already showed it to from the start because I'm doing a lot of things other than this outside. So This is the first topic in the first quarter. So it will, yeah, it has 5 sessions. So I get to Monday to Friday. And then I know it's 4 hours in a week. So for every session is 40 minutes. And then this is math. Okay. So yung first learning outcome is the student should describe about the set, subset, the set is one. Okay, and then this is the formative assessment. But yung the first, okay. For the first session, since this is the start of the school, I'm thinking for them to know each other is getting to know activity. And it seems I will use the 4 corners. So I will say something. The teachers will tell something that the group who's the student live in number or blah blah blah. So it should be 4 or region 1, 2, 3 or something like that. And then I will just write down all the result on the book without knowing that it's the introduction for the concept. And then after that, we will do the proper lecture. So giving the definitions of the sets, universal sets, and the null sets like that. Then afterwards, then I will connect it to the activity, the result of the activity. And then after that, we'll give the seat work. Which effect it could be another set of pictures, letters, and then eventually numbers for them to identify the kind of sets. And then I always do, especially with the deaf, even with my college students, I always give homework and continuity of the textbook. So for the next day, so since it serves as a review of checking of homework, so after that, again, I will connect for the new topic, which I need to introduce the union and intersection. And then, again, proper lecture problem. Okay, and then I give exercises with word work. Could be paired. Like what said Noel said, it's good that it's not always the student work alone. Even in college, I have that. He likes to work by himself, but he cannot do that. In a real world, you will not work by yourself. So I think that's good that there's a pair, and then so they also know how to deal and work with other students. And then after that, it's again seat work or yung board work, and then homework. That's the okay. And then for the next one again, review, and then this is the Venn diagram. So it's the same thing. And then again, homework until the unit is called the Friday. So for me, yung unit test of this one, so it's a 40 minutes. So I will just budget it for answering and then for the discussion. Usually, for item, I let the student answer it. They can, so like Mrs. said, it's the FSL must be 75% and then 25% of the, so, and I always do yung student-centered, so I'll just guide them or, yeah. And that's it, I guess. Let's finish. Thank you, Ms. Ira.
A real strength of this lesson, I think, was the routine of setup. Well, first of all, at the beginning, she doesn't tell them that you're going to work on math sets. She just does some sets, and it's like, oh, that's what a set is. It makes a lot more sense to the student. But she's got a routine on it without having become a rut. It's good to have a routine, but you don't want to do exactly the same thing every day because it gets to be too boring. But she hasn't done it. She's got some surprises there to try. cheesecake.
I'm so stressed out that I need to get after having talking about theater. Just an hour a week. I was expecting to have 2 hours a week, but I'm divided 7 hours free. And then this is about theater arts and Philippines. Philippines. There we had theater before. We would watch video. And then find names. Famous theater artists, performers, and they will be participating in the start of their part of the public assessment will be inspection. For example, I use my name, I say Anna. And then she could make it. We have to be creative. Then just don't say the name as Myra. Be creative using one part, reference, then we have the movement. Warm-up will include exercises for technical, good expressions, connection with tasks, connection, follow. And then will be intensive interaction. So one is the slowest, that's the slow motion, 5 is fastest. So we're doing a game, we're doing something, I say 1, 2, 3, 5, and then the students will have to react to it, when according to the emotions. Then you have the stage. They should also tell us to break the vowels, turns, okay, so we should take other shoes. For us, not special. And songs, they don't sound next big, especially for but we have contributed to the significance of the arts. Which one mono? What is it? What is it about? So they should be able to identify 3 pictures with which kind of dance it is and be able to explain it. There are also different ways to approach theater that ways to approach then depend on vibrations and they relate to it, they react to it. Then hearing sounds, yes, there are sounds that create vibrations. So there are levels, some are similar, some are different. As for learning, to be able to assess if they can apply it, what dish, students are given a chance to move, not say, run, act, to be confident.
I've seen the results of the the objectives here and the activities are going to be the same, just like they are for math and for FSL. And I think the summative assessment would probably be the performance. You know, performance in front of an audience, which is how you can interview somebody who can perform their.
I wanted to be last. Parang siya.
Is our lesson plan for the first quarter will be 1 hour. Okay. This is our lesson after what we're going to do is a 1 hour activity. I'm not sure if it's going to be long enough, but we'll see. We'll start off with same as yesterday's presentation, learning the language plan, understanding that it's going to be most likely 70% FSL, 30% English. A lot of the demo is going to be inside and it's written components of preparation. So I'll give Gary some more what they need. We'll give this one. So really do a little socialization. Knowing that these students come from various schools, we really want to get them interacting with each other. Interacting with a smile. So to be consistent fit, we'll understand what that means. Fit. Alright, so we'll have activities. Where we'll encourage them to think for themselves in order to grasp certain concepts. So with regards to height, we will do comparative discussions on, for example, Anna is very short in comparison to me. And then by using measuring tools, we can assess the exact measurement of what that is. So for the body, we're going to cover these topics. This is the first week. And procedure, firstly we're going to introduce the students to each other. Getting their background information, and how they teach that, and other things that might be helpful for us. So we'll do that, and also various activities. I'll ask them in general if they have classes in the past, in their elementary school years, and then if not, big explanation. The year is going to entail so that they can be kept abreast of what's going on. We'll have question and answer using cards. Might be better than just figure spelling all the time. You just figure spell something and then have a picture that corresponds with it right now. So that's okay. On the lesson, I would ask questions to make sure that it's clear. Perhaps do some activities as well. Muscular, muscular strength. So we're going to do actual exercises where these turtles, push-ups, pull-ups. Learning activities to test their endurance. We don't have an area or a track, maybe we have some support to use as for that activity. With his partner, so I think there's so far. We'll also bring meter stick. Again, for other nurturing activities. We'll also do a scale weigh-in for the students. I don't know, might be a great scale a little bit, but that's fine. Those are our topics that we're going to cover. A lot of exercising, a lot of... What's up? Okay. I did it.
I think also your objective is what you actually do. And one thing you need to remember is what is the point? Like, is the point physical fitness what you know about it? Do you want them to become physically fit? So the activities need to go to the core of what you want them to do. Having them write about it is okay, it's fine, and it's good for someone like me who doesn't want to write. I would prefer to write. So it's, you have to have a balance, but probably more with the physical.
Station studies, subject station studies, and the unit is physical features of the station So there are 5 learning outcomes. These are from the depth and
Ano yung sa...
If you notice, I started with number 2, 4, 5, and 1 is
Ano yung sa...
below. Because 1 is
Yung papasok
about
Facing
valuing
action.
relationship and environment. So before students can actually value the relationship, they have to fully understand first the physical part. And the human part actually is lesson 3 or 4. So I think that particular value will have to be further down the lesson. So this is the whole, this is the focus is not on lesson 1, though I was able to do lesson 2. And then the formative assessment. The formative assessment, typically what we have experienced, what was presented to us in the last 4 days, with particular emphasis on the centers. The idea is that the centers will be developing along the way. Initially with just a general map, and eventually they creating a 3D version of the map that is focused on the Asian region. And then at the end of the unit, hopefully they'll be able to create their own map of a selected country. The map will be simply a guide map for travelers, for hikers. Because in the other lessons, they will be focused on the features, the mountain part, the region, what kind of weather, what kind of plants are growing. So the idea is they'll be able to figure out how a particular country in Asia would look like. And once they have that picture, they'll create a map for travelers that will guide the traveler through that particular country. So that would be the the final formative assessment to be a summative assessment. So, the second page, if you would notice, after I did this, I went through the procedure and then realized the lessons of the first part are too big to start off with. So I ended up with a procedure that is focused on introduction of the whole concept. Just to run down, okay, so there will be just like individual question and answer as well as group. The first part, it's difficult to immediately jump into the Asian region without them having a grasp of what is the world like. So the initial contact point would be the world map. Trying to see the whole thing and see what are the continents, the groupings of the different. Asia is one continent, the one. And so we will be encountering certain vocabulary, certain terminologies, labels. So the idea is that each time a certain concept will be discussed, we will be listing down certain common terms. What is a continental region? What is whatever term that there will be discussed. And then we will be, I will be asking them to I'll show the word, finger spell it, and then draw out what are the sign names for this. So throughout the lesson, it will be like that. So each time a concept will be discussed, I'll be pointing out what the word, finger spell it, and then what's the concept, what's the sign for that, what's the emphasis sign. And then I'll be throwing out also what are the general perceptions. When we talk about the Asian region, what are the typical countries that are in the Asian region? So they would say those a list of countries. And then ask what are the typical environmental weather conditions. So based from their knowledge of what is, we will list it down, and then I will not correct it, but down the road, when you start discussing the facts, you always go back to that. What you say, what you mentioned the last time, is this correct based on what we now understood from the books or from the facts? We will cancel out if it's not true and affirm the students.
She set her objectives and then realized when she started to do her procedure that to get to those objectives, you've got to do a lot more backup work. So I mean, I really think that that's an insight that you'll get as you start to plan things, that what you think you're going to do, it's going to be a while before you can get to it. And when you get your students, you know, you have these ideal lesson plans. I'm going to do this, and it's going to take 1 day to do it, and it might take 3 days to do that. So you've got to constantly be adjusting what you do and be flexible. Okay, yeah.
Okay, yung ano ko. So, ito yung parang ano namin, template po namin sa lesson plan. Eh, yung kaugnayan ng LGBT, yun yung required namin sa Lasal. And then yung mahalagang tanong, papunawang kakailangan, yan yung sa curriculum ng DepEd. Kailangan ilagay dyan. Ngayon, yung tanong, kailangan tanong, nakasagot dun sa kakailanganin na kailangan angkop siya sa topic ko. So, per unit yan, napapalitan. So, ano yung topic nyo? Yeah. Since metodologiya po ako, so metodologiya ng tanong, ang lesson plan ko po ay ito sa metodologiya ng ito. Okay? So, bago yung, syempre, walang kamatayan na kailangan mo ilahat mo yung layunin mo bago ka magtuturo. Para more or less, alam ng mga bata kung ano yung assignment. So, parang hulog ang tawag namin dito. Okay? So, para simulan yung kwento, yung kailangan mo na kasi minsan yung mga zero knowledge yung mga estudyante, magbili ka ng panimula, pwede sa larawan, pagkain, ayan. So, larawan ng isang ilalang, sabihin natin ito, iya sa Hinto. So, kumbaga, naipa-assignment mo na yan, ang gagawin mo na lang ay, may mga tanong ka na pwede mo gawing diet. Sa isang tanong, diet. Then after that, share kayo. And then, kukuha ka ng estudyante na magbabahagi sa kanila. Hindi lahat ng grupo, mas pili ka lang. And then, base ito sa panghay, elements ng kwento. Okay? So, pag pangalawang tanong, pwede mong gawin din na pangtatluhan na grupo. Para iba't ibang grupo, iba't ibang knowledge na nakukuha mo sa kanila. Hindi yung parang, ikaw na lagi mag-share. Maganda rin yung iba't ibang grupo. Okay, so, tauhan, tunggalian, kasatulan, kalanasan, climax, or story, nakukuha mo yung kung naintindihan mo yung kwento. Okay? Maganda rin po, lalo sa mga deaf, na ipa-assign mo na yung kwento. Or else, mag-isa ka nag-monologue sa klase. Sorry. Okay? Yan. Then, and after yung mga lessons mo, pwede ang gawin mo, kailangan yung, layunin mo, sa synthesis mo, mag-jive. Para nakuha nila kung, nakuha pa nila yung lesson mo na pinag-aralan mo. Okay? Second day. Okay. Second day, since alam na nila kung kaya din kasaysayan ng mythology ng Ehipto, magbibigay ka ngayon ng isang kwento na halimbawa. Okay? Para alam na nila. Okay? Again, pwede ka maglagay ng larawan, pwede mo i-connect sa lesson mo. Yan. Okay? Ngayon, dahil nagpa-assignment ka na, gagawin mo, pwede mo, magbibigay ka na tungkol sa ekonomiya, okay? Anong masarap sa kanilang kultura, okay? At ano pang malalapit na bansa na pwede mo silang matanungan. Okay? Okay. Ngayon, pwede mong gawin sa kanila, since pina-assignment ko sa kanila, pwede mong ipabuot sa kanila in one sentence summary. Okay? Group 1. O, pwede simulan niya. Group 1, simulan nga natin kung ano nangyari. Group 2, ano sumunod. So, alam natin kung ano kung magkakasunod-sunod yung kwento. Alam na kung naintindihan nila. Kasi mamaya, ang kwento nila ay nandun agad sa climax na wala hindi pa nakita yung katunggalian o yung bakay ng importante, kailangan malaman sa estudyante. And then after that, pwede mong kunin yung kanilang, pag hinili nila yung kanilang values na natutunan.
If I understood, I think that one of the real strengths of this, and I'm sure there are many more strengths than just what was that you've got people working in groups with certain specific activities, and then you're sharing the activities with the other people. So everybody's not doing everything, but each group has a purpose for doing that. The purpose is to give the information to the other groups. Is that right?
But there are any questions on how to do it?
Yes. So one people answer the question, and then another people answer different questions. It's like I'm going to share that so that they like become experts on that question. And they become experts on this. It's a really good strategy. That's probably most of that.
Ay, Churuel, ano ba gawin natin sa taas?
Kasi dito, I think parang satellite meeting din.
Kanya-kanya. So, hindi tayo grupo-grupo. So, grupo-grupo tayo. Sino yung hangkot mo lang? Hindi sa yung kaya saan
Let's wait for this.
Some of them successful
Second month, first Friday. July, August, September.
Sasagutan ko.
Whiteboard,
That's school. Sometimes you don't have to. Remember the segment.
for grade 7,
Our students
the students have their own
have to keep class work.
middle school password.
Productivity students. So, session 1 process. Teacher, mamaki student.
And ask students if they have
So,
their
how
own
to do
computers.
this?
They have computers.
That's 7 in first year high school.
Grade 7, ask if they have their
Wow.
computers.
Fish spirit.
Wow, ask how the students
Important difference between students.
and know where the concerns are coming from.
We have an
Interested, I can just let you right away. I need to know where they're coming from. Sorry. And then, issue, I guess your master's references, explaining, right? Example, someone answer right away, others don't. After that, you give them a book.
Make it tell.
Sa first na pictures ko kay
Well, then how? Then that's just the
Ask them, which one's the monitor? Comes with the front.
word mouse,
What's the mouse?
word mouse, word system unit 12.
Where's the CPU?
That's must identify.
They should be able to
Not in the show.
I won't use them. It should not come this time.
Next session will finish
Next is the second session. Remember I gave them a project, posted and I've asked them to bring it to school
But before first time.
with
Session
was a recap of the yesterday's lessons.
Nazi student.
Show it, run, post it, grab it for the other one to see. There's little assignments.
Fish. But back up.
Go through the lesson, recap after.
And then some practice with that one.
You ask them how basic parts are there.
But what?
Example,
What
you say,
what
how many
spell
parts
it?
and
What
then
the?
you should tell them
Maybe shop
the
outside.
names, spell it, sign
Maybe
it.
spell it. Maybe actually
Then
important.
it's important that you remember
Not always
to
science.
know how to
That's
spell,
fast.
just
Spend it
sign.
fast. Right time.
Correct it if you're wrong.
Important. Something shop.
Language plan and let's pay the ratio.
50-50.
It's really nice how you have here the textbook now, where you have pictures to support that. It's not just about the text. It's a good concept, especially for beginners. Grade 7 students will be lots of visual support. So it's really nice that you have that. So that user experience working with the board, using it to the introduce the topic that is
Ano mo yun?
So, looking at the whole week, from Monday to today, guys, we've done a lot of work. You know, I understand the team right now. We have a lot more to do. Weeks like starting to think curriculum map with those power standards. We have that ready. Those charts that we have with the topics, the instruction, basically we have a general sense of what those topics are. And then we broke those down to lesson plans where we have formative assessments, activities, and then just summative and formative to make sure the students get that understanding. We have work on quarter one, there's 4 quarters all in total. And we incorporated a language pad from yesterday on top of that. So with the lesson plan, with respective units, we now understand the process. I really feel like we've done some great discussion this week. I'm really impressed at the eagerness, and I'm really excited to go back and see how you guys developed and how those students have benefited from all your work. Honestly, probably here's I can work with them, but I'm more inclined to work with grade 7s. That is great. I think those are really eager, motivated students who want to soak up everything that they can about the world. You know, it doesn't really matter if you teach adults or younger kids. It's about your own love and passion for traffic and how things all connect together. So I hope you feel that the process is beneficial. It's a real opportunity to work together as groups so that we can develop this grade 7 curriculum. Have the reference materials for that requirements. And next year, I was in this school to be able to so it's going to be a full circle. So it's really nice.
One last thing. On some computer here, we have left all of the PowerPoints. There are 4 files. One says CSB, and then all Susan's PowerPoints. And then there are 3 of mine, of course. One says Nora's lesson plan 1, and it's got the PowerPoint and some other stuff in it. And then lesson planning 2, and then there's another one that just has a whole bunch of stuff I think might be helpful. So just kind of put them on a USB, and when you have time, take a look at them. And you know, if you ever want it, you just have to email me. And Susan, sure. If you have questions about things or whatever, you can just email us and we'll do our best to answer.
All that.
I'm giving you a time limit.
So, we're closing down the 5-day workshop that we on the last few days. And I'd like to thank our friends, Susan and Laura, for being part of the accountability of the school. way that they are helping us to do better. We've talked about schedules in the past, and just to strengthen the awareness, while we end our work at this particular hour, we have to continually expanding the lesson plans for the grade 7, because that should be completed this year, because we will start working on the lesson plans for grade 8 by middle of 2017. For grade 8 to complete, we can complete that. For us to complete the grade 8, we have to go through, hopefully our funding will be sufficient. Laura and Susan will be back. Laura and Susan will be back next year to continually assist us for the grade 8. And then after 2017, by 2018, we'll be doing the grade 9. But 2019 is the opening of the school. 2018 is the opening of the school. So like now is 2016 now, we're making the grade 7. 2017 will start the grade 8, but the admissions process will actually begin next year. We complete our grade 8, and by the 2018, we open the school and we start writing grade 9. So can you see the enormous tasks that are in our hands? Can you lock the doors now and make sure jail everyone so you finish everything? So I hope the people who are here will continually be part of our journey. Our friends from the Solving Hills, you've been a great help. And you will also be our takbuhan. Because you are now the experienced ones who will help us. Hopefully you can help us with the work that we're doing now. Of course, when we say our responsibility for the students, the learning experiences of our students will be very enriching to such a point that they would eventually develop the competencies that we have defined, and that they will qualify and succeed in their higher education studies. But our accountability is a favorite word now, but our accountability does not only lie does not only revolve around the lives of the students who will enter our classroom, but our accountability is really of a greater nature. Whatever we're doing here, hopefully we're doing the right thing. As we do well in teaching our students, we're actually building the road to create more opportunities and allow other students who cannot enter our school, but their teachers will be interested to know more on what are the effective ways of teaching them. With whatever we have learned and we will learn, hopefully that will be shared with the others. So even if our students are learning so much through you, other students who are not in CSP, who are not in the Solving Hills, would also benefit from that experience. So continue doing the work. May will be monitoring you on top of what Nikki will be doing as you are doing your SDS work. May will also be monitoring you. Although it's a big task, it's a burden, it takes away free time, it takes away a lot of personal time maybe from all of us. You know, I guess it's a way to give back whatever blessings we have received in our lives. Doing extra work and doing paid or unpaid is our way of giving back, paying back whatever blessings And that payback is not something that will be kept by others, but something that will nurture and let others grow. So the 100 best, the 100 hours that you will render will benefit 100 people, and each of the 100 people will eventually do something that will share the blessings to the others. There's so much growth that will take place at each step that we will do to contribute to this dream. But of course, you all have your freedom. You all have your choices. To choose, I don't care. I hope you do not choose that. I hope you still focus more on the positive side, or on the choices that will improve deaf lives. So we end now, so we can have our lunch. We have certificates, right? We have certificates for those who have completed the work. Just as a way to remember what we have gone through. May you want to say something else?
Just give us a few.
So please finish the lesson plans, because at some point before November, we will have some mock sessions, meaning we will create classes, maybe 1 or 2 hour classes, and invite younger deaf people to attend our classes on a shorter time frame. And then there will be people who will be doing the evaluations and feedback. So just we can test run it in our work. And if we can, hopefully we can plan well what we want to do for January. In January, sometime January, February, we will be inviting other experts in the field of history and science. That's Chris Kurtz. Chris Kurtz. And also, hopefully, the experts in the field of DeVia, deaf visual arts. Because those expertise are also critical as we develop along the way our lesson plans. That would be sometime January. Dito rin naman.